Okay, Mr. Phobes here. Um, I'm going to go through how to finish up both the illusional space and the equivocal space study for our spacecraft project. So what I have here is in Illustrator, I set up two artboards and I created the illusional space, and then from that I created the equivocal space. So one of the things to remember to create the illusional space, we want to create this sense of deep space. So objects that are near us should be large and objects that are far away should be small. The other thing is that we want to think about how they occupy space. So generally, obeying gravity, objects that are lower in the picture frame seem closer. Now, if you're in the atmosphere or in water where there is no gravity, that isn't necessarily true. Now, the other thing is I've set these up as portrait, and they could certainly be landscape. That doesn't matter. Make sure when you do them that there's one shape that is common to both. So that creates harmony between the two. Um, you can use a ground of either dark or light, but remember that the way it works, high contrast brings the objects forward. Low contrast, which is part of atmospheric perspective, makes it seem like it's going back in space. The other thing is we need some overlap. Not every single object needs to overlap, but that is a very good visual clue. So I've got 6 objects here. You could use 7 or 8. It gets a little bit harder to distinguish between the values, but let's use a minimum of 6. Okay, let's look at the equivocal space. So I've already flattened it. I've adjusted the values. I'm kind of looking at maybe I wish I had paid a little bit more attention to some of the relationships between the lines. This is going to be kind of hard to paint, this area right here. Let's blow it up a little bit. Um, that might be hard to do. Certainly this little guy, I really should have pushed the fish up a little bit higher. Um, but nevertheless, the values look pretty good. Um, so if you look at the object is to create this sense of equivocal space. So there doesn't seem like there's a foreground, middle ground, background. Um, you kind of do want to think about what's the object you want emphasis. And for me, it was pretty much the fish, although the star is pretty strong. The S, which is the midtone, almost disappears. So again, what you need is you've got 3 shapes. Think about their scale as all about being the same. And again, you want open form composition with both of them. So your eye should be led off the picture plane. Here again, your eyes led off the picture plane. I thought very carefully about the placement of the star and the way it created this nice little negative space up here. It does come off the picture plane. Um, when I think of my 3 objects, one of the objects, so the fish, is very light. It's the 10%. Um, the Another object should be a 50% gray, and the third object should be black or almost black. So it won't work unless you have these 3 values spread far apart. And then you need to choose a value for the ground. I played around with this. I tried a couple of different values. If I select it and I go, well, let's see if it looks darker. See, that's too dark. That is okay, although it's a little bit close to this one. I think, and that obviously won't work. It's the same color as the S, same value. So somewhere in that range works pretty good. It looks to me like this value and the ground value are just about the same, and the problem with that, it looks like there's a hole punched in it. So that's how I arrived at this value, which I believe is it's probably the 60%, 60 or 50%. Okay, so I've determined that I like them, and now I'm ready to print. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but when I created the ground here, it's a little bit off. I could readjust it. I'm pull it this way. And even though it's over here, once I use the artboard will crop it. Okay, let's see if we can save these. We need both of them saved for Blackboard as JPEGs, and we both need both of them saved as PDFs for printing. So what we want to do is select the artboard, and then we're going to go File, Export. We're going to go File, Export As, and we're going to go JPEG. So we'll call them spacecraft JPEGs. We have them saved as Illustrator files. And then we're going to go Use Artboards, and then we're going to go Range 1 through 2, and then to the desktop, and we'll go Export. Now, this dialog box comes up. We want to convert them to grayscale. We want to convert the quality to about 7. We want to make sure that the resolution is at 300, and then hit OK. All right, and then we can just double check and make sure that that happened. So there they are. There's that. Now notice this, I probably didn't have the artboard set exactly right. If I wanted to, I could recrop it. I would just go into Photoshop, and I'll go File, Open, and I'll open that file, and set my cropping to 8 by 10 at 300, and then I just need to pull a little bit of this off, hit Return, Crop, and then go File, Save, and I'm good. Okay, so let's go back to Illustrator. All right. Now what we want to do is we want to save these as separate PDFs. We don't want to save them both at the same time because it'll compress it into one PDF, and it's going to print them right next to each other, and we just don't want to do that. So we're going to print one at a time. So we're going to select this one, and what we want to do to really make this work, we have, as you know, we have 6 different layers in here. So we're going to flatten them all. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Select All on Active Artboard, and then we're going to go Object, Flatten Transparency. We're going to OK, and then we're going to go File, Save As, and we're going to go Adobe PDF, and I'm going to call this Spacecraft Print. I could call it Print 1, and then I'm going to use I've got Use Artboard selected, and I'm just going to go, the range is going to be 1, and then I'm going to go Save. Save PDF. Okay. Now what I'll do is select this one. It's already been flattened. I'm okay. So then I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to go Spacecraft Print 2. And then I want to make sure it's saved as a PDF. And then I want to make sure I go to Save. Save PDF. Okay, so let's check this out. There they are, right there, both of them, and they're individual PDFs. It opens up in Acrobat Reader. There it is. That's it. You're ready to go.